kind of hieroglyphics, you know.
Yeah.
Wait, I can decipher it now. Yes, fitness for city council. Or is that Freischmann for
Right.
city council? Fisher for city council.
This is great stuff. Mm-hmm. Five, 4, 3, 2. You're on.
I forgot the words. Let's start over.
Okay.
Wait a second. You want to stop it? I'm trying to think of the first line.
I'll pause it.
Bobby goes out every night. Such a sucker for those bright city lights. You never. Okay. 3, ready. Bobby goes out every night. Such a sucker for those bright city lights. He never has to buy. Everybody likes to get him high. You can count on him, you can see it in his eyes. Bobby's getting higher and higher. But pretty soon his feet won't touch the ground. Bobby's getting higher and higher. Pretty soon now Bobby will be around. Yeah, Bobby's got himself a new set of friends, willing to overlook and pretend. He never has to buy. I fucked it all up. Okay, well, we tried anyway.
We tried. We did our best.
I must be kidding.
Expensive thing.
Really?
What is it exactly?
Technology.
You know what's
for-
really interesting is that if you look at it close, you can't make it out. And the
Right.
words really only come together when you step back.
Oh.
Especially that one that says stability.
I think I'm going to turn the machine off and
I
just
think-
sort
I
of
think
read
it's
it.
finished. I think you should go to
Nobody over the age of 25. We have to be careful because all the people in the world under 25 have more in common with one another than they do with the older people of their own race.
England's the punk capital of Western civilization. I mean, there's punks all over the streets in England now. They gave us the
Punk people
Beatles.
are all under 25.
And something miraculous happens at 25 in England?
Round about 25, you abandon your green hair and your Mohican hairdo and all this, and you put on real clothes and you go out into the world. And then your whole outlook changes.
And that's still pretty much today. That would be the standard of today.
When I lived in England, I received half a dozen phone calls a day threatening my life.
Really? Just because of your outlandish appearance?
Well, no, because of my outlandish existence.
Your existence. Which included what else besides dressing up and...
My voice, my movements, my opinions.
You're a public figure at that. You were a public figure.
We have to be very careful. That would apply to a prime minister.
Or a movie star, or a television personality, or...
Well, you see, in America, the theory of personality is universal. All Americans believe that the power of personality is the greatest force on earth.
Mm-hmm.
This is not thought to be so in England. Put it another way. In England, no publicity can be wholly good. In America, no publicity can be wholly bad.
And really, I'm not even interested in publicity no more. I don't even want nothing to do with any newspapers or television time. This is the first interview I've done in 4 years since my governorship in the state of Ohio, because I feel the news media is nothing but hurt the Klan and its true image.
Racists like the Ku Klux Klan and fascists shouldn't have freedom of speech.
The left wing and the right wing both agree they want to have a police state military control.
Exactly.
So don't call me left, don't call me right. I'm a futurist.
Outside of Big Sur, Timothy Leary is read as a California acid head.
Things aren't always what they seem. Everyone's perceptions are different. So if you see something that we've missed, put it on tape. Send it to Fast Talk, 240 East 45th Street, New York, New York, 10017. Remember,
Fast Talk puts you on. Just send your tape to Fast Talk, 240 East 45th Street, New York, New York, 10017.
I am an advocate of freedom.
People doing what they want, when they want.
They do what they want, when they want, but I do not think you should inflict your oddities on other people. I think you should offer them to other people.
So then you would not be I would gather you would not be a great supporter of the gay movement then. The gay movement seems to be...
Movements are nearly always a mistake.
From what do you mean by that? Movements are often a mistake?
Because they tend to mean that a lot of people gather together, sink their individuality in a group image in order to gain political power.
And then lose their individuality in that.
And then you lose your individuality.
If you sink, everybody then tries to be the same standard. We've said that
Then
this
they're
is...
trying to be the same.
The gay
then
movement is
people of
this.
17 who have trouble with the fact that they find that they are homosexual, they unite themselves with this group, and by the time they're 25, they will no longer be homosexual.
But can they get out of the movement?
Then
Have they committed
they've already
themselves to-
insulted their mother and father.
Right.
You see, all this business about, should I tell my mother? Never tell your parents anything. That's the first law of survival.
If I were an old-fashioned senile dinosaur, I would ban video games. Computers and video games are to the 80s what drugs like acid were to the 60s.
Then again, it's just based on who is writing the games. And the difficult thing is if you rely on somebody with the foresight of someone like Tim Leary, who promotes drugs on a mass media basis without accounting for what can happen to minds he doesn't have any connection with, he just shouldn't be responsible for writing software, that's for certain.
Well, if you ask me, it's time to strap yourself in, bone up on your Greek, blink on and off at regular intervals, identify with all religions, be bisexual, and honey, save the last dance for me.
How do you feel about that whole gay movement trying to put homosexuals into the mainstream?
Well, they can't ever get into the mainstream.
They can't really teach school. They can't really...
Whether they can teach school, I don't know. I think the first worrying thing, first of all, I should say, I want the gay people to have whatever it is they want. But politics are absolutely useless as a way of getting what you want. The first thing you have to remember about politics is they are for politicians. They have no effect on real life. there are certain people who want to adopt their lifestyle, put themselves across, explain themselves to the world through politics. And that is what
Right.
politics are for.
Right.
They have no effect on you or me. I'm 74. I've lived under at least 14 different governments without ever altering my life in any way. So we can safely say politics are simply the art of making the inevitable appear to be a matter of wise human choice.
Good definition.
So don't expect anything from politics.
And don't give a darn what the mayor or police chief or the governor or the president's telling you, because, quite frankly, it has very little value of what is going to happen in your day-to-day life.
So I think that you do need organizations, you do need the mayor, you certainly need the police department, you know, fire department, things like that.
There are gay people on police forces, and there are gay people on the staff of schools.
Right. Oh.
And if you've ever questioned Mr. Feinstein, he was in a wonderful interview with a woman whose name I've forgotten, and his generalizations got more and more magnificent, and finally he said, "Every family has one."
The homosexual basically says, I was born this way, and I'm the way I am because I was created this way, which is ridiculous. Okay, the homosexual cannot blame society or birth for his problems.
In the beginning, you think you're the only person who's stuck with this. As far as the eye can see, there isn't another person.
Right, everybody out lifting weights,
carrying
playing
on,
baseball,
you see.
right.
So you think, well, what am I going to do in the world? Then you go to a big city, and there you see the other people.
Mm-hmm.
So then you think, the world's full of us. And the most extraordinary thing is, you, coming from the suburbs, have already got the same mannerisms that they've got.
Where do they come from?
And that's what I will never know.
That was I guess that was what you were faced with. How am I like them when I've never seen them?
That's
My only
right.
examples have been...
It's quite extraordinary. It's as though you lived on a desert island and you one day met a human being.
Oh, look.
Because all that camp,
Mm-hmm.
do you think your little friends understand the word camp?
Sure.
That is a tradition. I arrived from the suburbs where no one had ever camped.
Mm-hmm.
And in the street, I met these people, and we went like this, and our fingertips touched. I find that amazing.
I think it is.
Why do the faces of camp homosexuals have much more movement in them than the faces of real men?
Well, what I was going to ask you is, you believe that a lot of this, the mannerisms, the facial expressions, the flamboyance, the camp, is ingrained, natural, comes from inside?
I think the flamboyance is induced because it's an act of defiance.
Right.
But, as I say, if I were to see anyone on television, any man on television, whose face flashed, whose eyes went like this, whose smile was wide, he would be as under suspicion as if he had eaten quiche.
So you can spot them, huh?
Oh, no, it's Dead-Eyed Dan, and he's heard that sea monkeys are in town. Dan, wait, don't go in there. Sea monkeys ain't monkeys, Dan. Why, they don't even live in trees. They live in water, and for little fellas, they sure have big families. All anyone in this town has to do is add sea monkey eggs to prepared water, and bang, they see them alive. Now, Dan, there's only room enough in this town for one kind of monkeys.
Just add water and you've made a pal. Sea Monkeys, the amazing live instant pets for the whole family.
To get your very own Sea Monkeys, send just $2.98 to Instant Life Factories, 126 East 37th Street, New York, New York, 10016. That's 126 East 37th Street, New York, New York, 10016. Include $1.02 for postage and handling. Please allow 3 to 4 weeks for delivery.
What's the message you're trying to get across? What are you trying to tell your audience?
How to be happy.
Secret to that?
Is that help will not come from outside.
From outside, you mean from other people, from
other
governments, from whatever, to make you happy? Happiness comes from...
It's all in there.
And You've led a happy life? People calling you up daily to threaten your life is a happy life?
No, I wouldn't say that most people would regard my life as tragic. But until I came to America, which of course is different. I mean, in America, everybody is your friend.
That exhibitionism of flaunting and pushing his lifestyle upon others who do not count it as being moral, I don't think America's ever going to go for that. I frankly could not abide by it. I'm not against the homosexual. I know many. I've counseled them. Some of them I happen to like, but I think their lifestyle is damnable, and I think it's going to destroy them. It's going to send them to hell, to be quite honest.
Oh, ready, aim, fire!
I think that the moral majority is probably as frightening, if not more so, than somebody from the Ku Klux Klan. Because you're right, they're lobbying, they're in Washington, because they do have educated people behind them, because they do have ideas, and their ideas are Republican ideas, right-wing ideas.
Socialism is an idea.
Right.
The idea that the oil industry should be nationalized, that everybody who's born should have the right to decent medical care.
Well, the oil business
these are
too.
like, these are accepted by most of the people in the world. But in the United States, with our great freedom of choice, we don't have one channel that has this point of view.
Communists are everywhere. I stepped out of my house in New York City the other day and I saw a bandwagon painted red with people passing out red flyers to the workers on the streets. I have a loft, of course. Now, this is frightening that we should allow these people in our country. We are capitalists. We are Republicans. We are Democrats. We are people who enjoy our freedom. We don't want these people destroying our ideals. Everyone knows that communism doesn't work.
Getting back to the freedom, that you said that excessive freedom is the cause of the world's ills.
Yes.
What does that mean? If you're a person who advocates freedom...
I advocate freedom, but first of all, there's no such thing as total freedom. If there are 3 people left in the world,
right,
by nightfall there will be rules. There has to be. I cannot chop the wood, so I must make the fire.
Right.
Otherwise, we will all die.
Right.
So that's the first law. You chop the wood. This happens as soon as there are people together. 2 people might live without laws. 3, no. So you have to make up your mind what your laws will be. First of all, for yourself. Because if you don't, you end up the way the young people are now. They have so much freedom that they never make up their mind what really suits them.
So where do you see the compromise?
The compromise is you have to invent chains of your own making.
My own rules for me. Suppose my own rules for me conflict with the rules everybody else made for me.
You will find they will.
And so how do I resolve that?
You follow your own rules and you present yourself to the world as though you couldn't help being the way you are.
I just can't help it.
That's right.
And that's...
Because that's something, never defy the world. Present yourself as helpless.
That's almost like, what is it, Steve Martin says, how to not pay taxes. I forgot.
That's right.
I forgot.
You say you forgot. Never say, why on earth should I pay taxes? That's fatal.
I forgot. I mean, is it that simple to just...
And better than that, you say, what is a tax?
Yeah, but is it that
Then they know you're hopeless.
I don't think the government should collect taxes on the basis of a hoax. Don't be intimidated into believing you have to talk to an IRS agent. When you think of an IRS agent, think of a monkey with a cup.
Precisely. We don't want to be fooled into paying taxes. I agree, because how else could we become true Americans, true capitalists, and amass great fortunes to show the world what we believe in? Not by being taxed to death. We can possibly stay here all year round and not keep a residence elsewhere if we're going to have to give half of our money to the government, or 3/4 of our money to the government.
If you think you have something better to say than what you've heard on Fast Talk, say it. Put it on videotape. And you can be on television telling everyone what you think.
John Kennedy's alive and living in the Bronx. I figured it out myself. I see him every day on the subway. The first time I saw him, I went right up and I said, well, Mr. Kennedy, what have they done to you? And when he didn't respond, it convinced me that he's under constant surveillance and probably drugged. I made this tape because I want the world to know.
Do you have anyone that you admire? Are there any people that you
Not
distinctly
really.
admire over?
Oh, I admire people. I mean, I admire people for just staying alive. I mean, I think it's all amazing that people get through their lives at all.
There are no heroes, no people that you look to and say,
To live is to be a hero. To live is an act of heroism. Every day is a kind of victory.
Is the TV image of life driving you to drink? Is it making you sick? Are you looking for a way out of your dreary existence? Hey, don't stab yourself. Shoot yourself. Fast Talk will make you a star. Send your tapes to Fast Talk, 240 East 45th Street, New York, New York, 10017. Fast Talk puts you on.
yeah, is a lot of your attitude now because of your age? Come because of your age? Has it changed much since you've gotten older?
No, my attitude hasn't changed. My technique has changed.
Technique, which is?
Well, the advantage of growing old is that as it's toward the end of the run, you can overact appallingly.
Right, people will accept old people doing lots of dirty old men are much easier to take than...
That's right. So whatever you do, they say, oh, well, for heaven's sake, he's nearly 80. And they pass it by. And if you're not careful, you lean further and further out. You know, if someone in the beginning of a play, in the first few days, has decided to have a tiny limp to make the part more dignified,
Right.
by the time the show is being on a year, he can hardly walk.
Right.
And it's the same with life. You tend to adopt a certain way of going on, and then you find you can. So it gets worse.
You get
and
bigger
worse,
and bolder
and
with
bigger
it.
and bolder. And this, of course, is naughty, because you will find yourself doing things to annoy the neighbors instead of doing things to please yourself.
That's a question I have for you. How much of your lifestyle has been to blatantly annoy the neighbors as opposed to what you really believe?
I suppose after about the age of 25, 6, 7, I found I was still alive, although I'd been very badly beaten up in the street. And I thought, I'm still here. And then, as you say, it's like the wearing of perfume. Women who wear the same perfume for a lifetime put on so much that when they step into the elevator, everybody chokes. Because so you can't do this. So round about the age of 30, when you've learned how to have a job, you've learned how to make friends, you've found a room to live in from which you are not evicted, you think, no. If there were no praise and no blame, who would I be then? And that's where the center of your life is.
No praise, no
and
blame.
no blame. I won't do this to annoy my mother, and I won't do this to please my mother. I will be the way I am, and then I will say, this is the way I am. Try to accept me.
Fast talk is basically what all this technological junk is about. Telecommunications and communication is the ability to interact. And since we've removed ourselves from each other as human beings into our rooms connected with wires and these devices, that the only way that we're going to have the opportunity to express each other is to use them. And since in some ways we've isolated ourselves, the only way to do it is to make these little videotapes and send them out to each other and let each other hear what each other is saying. And in that way, we won't have to worry about being hit. If we say something that someone doesn't particularly agree with, they can just turn the button off. And this does leave you to decide whether you want to put a return address on your tape that you send out. But it's the vitality of what all of this technology can offer us, and maybe the only thing that allows cable television to survive. So you people out there with home video, get on it and do it every day. You'll love it.
Send your tapes to Fast Talk, 240 East 45th Street, New York, New York, 10017. Fast Talk puts you on.
Abandon your secrets.
Tell all. Then nobody...
Tell all. And if you don't want to tell all, then abandon that part of your nature which you don't want to tell.
So if it's a secret, you don't want it known, don't do it.
Don't do it.
It bothers you because you want to keep quiet, don't do it.
Exactly. You see, that's the way you divide your personality. I will live this life in secret, but I will pretend to them that my life is like this. That won't do. You must be all of a piece.
So schizophrenia is, it sounds like you're very much against that schizophrenic duality kind of thing.
You must be all of a piece.
And some people may just be boring. May just be, they're not everybody's Quentin Chris. Some people may just be boring and live
Nobody is boring.
public boring lives.
Nobody is boring who will tell the truth about himself.
I'd like to talk back, but I don't have any equipment.
Listen, you can use me. I'll be your mouthpiece. I'll say whatever you want. Send me your rap, and together we can say anything. Send an audio tape and a photo to Fast Talk, 240 East 45th Street, New York, New York, 10017. Fast Talk puts you on.
I know this sounds like acid babbling.
I'm not into those drugs. I'm into these drugs.
Now, you have to stop and think from God's point of view.
God was last seen fleeing from every temple on the island.
I wanted to start having sex with the dead.
I have a different feeling about death. I don't want to be killed at all.
Going to happen, it's going to happen. Nothing you or I are going to say that's going to stop it.
It's the latest hit. It's great. It's just ideal.
We're not animals.
You're not getting the truth, young man.
We're not like bubblegum cards that you could trade around.
But there is a difference.
They're not saying give up the clothes, give up the car, go out, bang a drum, wear a sheet, and fly a funny flag.
Well, I think that's a problem with democracies.
The planet Earth is so screwed up, the only solution is get off.
If there is to be blame, it properly rests here in this office and with this president. And I accept responsibility for the bad as well as the good.
You might as well lock me up in a rubber room and put myself in the straitjacket.
I'm in a 1931 model right here.
For too many years, the Jews have had a very good image, and that's bad.
Joining the discussion next time will be the militant Rabbi Meir Kahane, the founder and international chairman of the Jewish Defense League. You are invited to join the discussion now. Just send your tape to Fast Talk, 240 East 45th Street, New York, New York, 10017.
I'm so sick and tired of Jews who want to be loved. I don't want to be loved. I want respect.